what's the issue on Heatmaps? The issue on Heatmaps is that we have a very common practice that is called spoofing. What is spoofing? That many people put these orders here, as you can see here. Here, yesterday, we had a 170 Bitcoin order waiting here, but when the price was approaching this area, the order was removed. Okay, you can see that here we had the order, and then it switched to 191 to 97, and then disappeared. And then they changed the order to this area. So this is called spoofing because, as I said before, a heatmap is just a representation of the order book that we have here. Okay, you can see that when I'm reading these orders, we can see the order book that is signaling the same level in the heatmap. Okay, so if I remove the limit order, if I put the limit order and then I remove it, I can trick you to think that here is a limit order waiting, or here is a limit order waiting. There is liquidity there waiting to be filled, but it's just spoofing. So that's why I don't consider that heatmaps are so useful, because spoofing is a very common practice on crypto. In every exchange, it's a lot of people that are doing this on whales, or maybe a group of traders that to try to fool you, or to try to, let's say, to fool you, they put limit orders. So you think that the price, when you arrive there, it will find resistance, or there is liquidity there, and then they remove these orders, and you got fooled. So the heatmap basically is unuseful to identify the real liquidity in the market, because spoofing is like a trick that is trying to fool you, to trigger, to fool you to think that there is limit orders waiting to be filled there and never got filled. Okay. So as I said before, heatmaps are just for identifying support and resistance areas in a chart. I don't care if it's Bitcoin, if it's Polkadot, if it's Ethereum, if it's Litecoin. I don't care. In every chart, heatmaps are just for identifying support and resistance areas, supply and demand areas, or bids and ask orders, limit orders waiting to be filled there. Okay. Now we are talking about spot, but you should also know that when we are in a perpetuals chart, now I can access the perpetuals chart. Here in Bitfinex I can, because you see here Bitfinex derivatives. So for example, we are going to change it and we are going to see Bitcoin perpetual, okay? And now we can assume here, let's adjust the orders here, okay, a little bit. Okay, you can see that all these orders here in the perpetuals are not buying and selling orders, are just stop losses, okay? Usually they are stop loss orders waiting to be filled. So for example, here we'll have, if the price reaches this area, a lot of long liquidations, because obviously people is putting their long positions. Let me see if I can show you a long position here. Okay, I don't have the tool here, I think, but as I said before, here are a lot of, let's say, buying orders, and here are a lot of selling orders. Usually this in perpetuals means that a lot of stop losses are clustering here, so when the price reaches this area will trigger a lot of liquidations. And in the opposite side, if the price dumps and reaches this area, it will trigger a lot of long liquidations. Okay, so here we will have the short liquidation, and here in this area we will have the long liquidations. Okay, and as you can see here, the heat map in a perpetual chart seems like a Bollinger Band. Okay, because it is like enveloping, is like embracing the volatility of the price. As I said before, a heat map is just useful to identify supply and resistance areas in a given market, in a given exchange, by tracking the limit orders that are already sitting on this exchange based on the order book. Okay, the first and main issue is that we have the common practice that is called spoofing, that is banned from stocks and trading in other brokers, but in crypto is not banned because it's not regulated. So we have spoofing, and it's very common. So this is meant to fool traders, and basically this means that the heat maps 60 to 80% of the time are mostly unuseful and unreliable. That is why I don't use them. You can use support and resistance, I have other videos where I explain you how to identify support and resistance areas in a chart. You can use also volume profile, like this one. This is a volume profile, and it's more accurate than, because as you can see, we have here a high volume node here, also another HVN here, and we can assume that this will act as support and resistance levels. This is one technique, but I have explained in my YouTube channel a lot of different techniques to identify support and resistance areas, or also supply and demand, or bid and ask in the chart. So basically, if you want to use Heatmap, it's up to you. I see Heatmaps used mostly for engagement purpose. I also use it to catch, because it's eye-catching. This is, let's say, it claims a lot of attention. This is more eye-catching than a normal chart in TradingView. So a lot of people tend to focus more their attention on social media, like on X or on YouTube videos, in this kind of heat maps. But for trading, for me, for my experience, is basically useful and unreliable for taking trades based just on the heat maps. If you combine heat maps with support and resistance in the TradingView chart, with volumes, with volume profiles, with open interest, then you can make a reliable trading system, engaging also with heat maps. But heat maps alone, as I said, is very unreliable because we have the spoofing. So that's it for today, and we see you on the next video.